Hey everyone, what's going on? Mark here from TST Industries, back in the garage. And behind me, I have the 2025 Honda Grom. This is the 4th generation model in their Honda Grom lineup. And it is very similar to the 3rd generation Grom that we first saw in 2022. And for that reason, a lot of these parts are interchangeable. But as you can see on the table in front of me, we have just a quick look at some of the products that we offer for the 2025 Honda Grom. So in this video, we will be showing you the installation process of our TST Industries Honda Grom frame sliders. This kit is made up of CNC machined aluminum anodized black and delrin pucks, along with all of the necessary hardware you need for the proper installation. Now, it is important to note that the process we are about to show you is exactly the same as shown on the 3rd generation Honda Grom. So at this time, we will cut to that footage and show you the step-by-step installation process.
All right, so what we have here on the counter is a pretty much built kit with the bike missing. Obviously, this does not get to you in this form. It comes with separate components in a box. I'm gonna show you how to build the sub-assemblies, and then we'll go over to the bike and perform the installation. Let's grab some parts out of the box. Here you see a sheet that I've printed out from our product page on tstindustries.com. We have several different sheets that you could download in PDF format that will guide you through the little nuances of this. I'm going to be going from my sheet. I encourage you guys to print out a sheet of your own, and that way everything I say will be clear. Let's just set out the parts for now. I like to group the parts up in little subgroups. Got a hardware baggie, got a spacer baggie, 2 other spacers. Obviously, we talked about replacing the black caps with the red caps. The separate caps with accent colors are a separate item that you have to include in your purchase if you want to take advantage of using these. Just wanted to note that. Each one of these spacers does have a laser engraved logo and part number on here. So when you're following along and trying to see which parts are which, identify which parts are which, that will help you with doing just that. On these spacers, we actually have the numbers, part numbers on the ends. Okay, so for our purposes here on the bench, we are going to agree that the front of the bike would be going this way, and therefore this would be the right bracket and this would be the left bracket. I'm going to arrange all of my components spatially so that we just take one chunk, put it on the bike, the other chunk, put it on the bike. Right, left. Now, the right side gets the longer spacer because the engine's inset more. So we need to space out our puck a little bit longer to that side. The puck must have one of these spacers in it. The flange goes towards the outside. Remaining puck, spacer, and inner spacer goes on the left side. Obviously the tie bar goes in between. We have these robust M10 bolts. Long one goes this, short one goes with this, and the super duper long one will go through here, through the frame, motor, back out here, and get fastened down with this nylock locking nut. On the head side, we will use the large washer that is provided in the kit. Then we need to identify the spacers that go with this frame and engine connection. Obviously, we will need one of these, one of these. The reason why I know right off the bat is because those are the only ones that fit this large bolt without slop. If we were to put our M6 screws through here, they'd be very sloppy. So I will spare you identifying the part numbers here. I will just let you know that on the left side we have the long one, on the right side we have the short one. So now we have this prearranged, we have this prearranged, we are ready for the rest of the hardware. Now, there are four different lengths of hardware, sorry. They are denoted in our sheets. They do have identifier balloons and they show you the locations where they actually go. What I'm gonna do is show you an alternate way of identifying these, alternate to measuring them. Obviously you could measure them and find out the lengths, and that's how they're identified. These actually don't have part numbers on them. They're just identified by the length. This is a 40, there's a 50, there's a 60, and two 55s. So what I like to do is group them all together, smallest to largest, and identify the two that are the same. Those are the 55s. And that would correspond to our location 21, which is here and here. So I will put that through left bracket, bottom forward and top. And then number 22 is a 60, so that would make it the longest one in the batch. And that goes in the rear lower hole here. Now we have this ready. So now we just have these two remaining screws. Number 20 is a 50, number 19 is a 40. We have just two different lengths. Obviously, 40's shorter, it goes in the rear, and the remaining one goes in the front. Nice and easy, right? All right, let's grab the appropriate spacers. Like I mentioned, they are engraved. You can just take the number, look where it goes, and the diagrams show you. Here we have spacer 1090. Spacer 1090 goes in location 9, which is left side, rear bottom. Okay, next spacer we're going to look for is spacer number 8. There are two of these, so that immediately leads me to believe that these are the spacers because I have two of these, whereas I have one of each of these. That is spacer 1091, and that does correspond to number 8. And these go in these locations on the left side sub-assembly. That probably won't want to stay. That's all right. All right, we have two left over. We have two screws here. Number 5 spacer corresponds to 1093. Boom. It goes in this location. And elimination tells us that last one goes there. All right, so we're pretty much all set here. We're ready to go and disassemble some of the parts on the bike. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we will bring these individual sets over to there and get them installed. Like I mentioned in the intro, I have already marked the parts that are getting disassembled from here. These two screws will be disassembled using an 8mm socket. This one, this nut back here, will use a 14mm socket. As you can see here, we have a hook device that is meant for routing this wire. That will come off. We are not reusing that. Let's go ahead and start with these two screws. None of this hardware is getting reused, so feel free to just toss it to the side in the parts bin. Now we'll use that 14mm socket. At this point, the main bolt here should be able to be popped through. Just make sure that it's loose. All right, this side's ready. Let's hop on the other side. We're gonna follow the same logic on this side of the bike. This is already loose, so that'll come out most likely by hand. And then these three will have to come off. An additional hook here that needs to come off. move it off this wire here and make it gone. Now I've taken the left side pre-assembly with all the spacers and the appropriate hardware that we pre-assembled on our table, and I have it ready to go in here. I'm going to engage the screws by hand, but not turn them in any substantial amount. I need to fit the large spacer in between this plate and the frame component here, and then the really long bolt with the washer on it goes through this connection. All right, I'm going to turn these in to bottom out, but still by hand. We don't want to tighten these up all the way just yet. I'm going to be using a 5mm Allen on these connections. And now our mid bar gets aligned here and does have threads inside. We get the left side frame slider components here. And we start those threads backwards on my arm placement. A bit more dexterity in my right hand. I'll be using a 17mm socket to engage this thread. So now we'll just bottom this out, but not fully tighten it. I'm gonna wait till all the parts are on the other side, then we'll go through a tightening sequence. All right, let's hop on to the other side. Okay, now on this side of the bike, let's start by putting the appropriate spacer here. I showed which one that is on the table. I've brought over the right side sub-assembly, bracket, screws, and also the spacers. Let's go ahead and get that fitted on here. Just want to note on the right side of the bike, before you start turning any hardware in, make sure that this is loose and not clamped. Do not want to strain that wire in between two contact surfaces. Again, 5mm. And we have the locking nut on this side. Let's turn that in until the locking element grips. And our right side pre-assembled slider set, 17mm socket for that. We need to align this a little bit better. There we go. We start the threads, go to bottom. And at this point, we will start tightening the Allen screws down here. For that purpose, I will be using a torque wrench set to 8.5 foot-pounds or 102 inch-pounds. The equivalent in Newton meters is 11.5. We'll quickly spin around to the other side and tighten the same screws on this side to the same setting. Now for the larger screws, the larger bolts, we will use 40 foot-pounds, which is equivalent to 54 Newton meters. I'm going to start up here. I'm going to have to tighten progressively because I'm having a little bit of spin here. All right, left side's done. That side's done. Looking good. Now we'll need to get this all the way to the bottom. For that purpose, I will need a second holding device. So I will need to hold this bolt in this location from the other side while I turn the nut in. Use a 17mm box wrench on the other side. So I actually had to ask for an assist here because it's very cumbersome to hold this on the other side while I go ahead and tighten it down. Also switch to a deep socket because the bolt ends up sticking out so far that you actually do need a deep socket to tighten this fully. Let's go ahead and torque it. All right. And the last thing that remains here in this assembly process is to put in the caps. Like I said, we're choosing the red caps because they match everything else. They just press in. They do have an O-ring. You press in and snap, and that's it. I'm gonna do that on the other side. And that'll be that.
There you have it. Adding on our TST frame slider kit for the Honda Grom provides ample protection with a beautiful assembly, some CNC machine components, and delrin pucks. You now have the confidence knowing that your bike is protected in the event of a spill or a drop. If you like this product, you want to find out more details, or you're just ready to add it to your cart and to your Honda Grom, please be sure to visit our website, tstindustries.com. The link to this frame slider kit can be found in the description below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you just want to say, hey, let us know where you're watching from, the comment field is open. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn notification bell on. And if you found this video helpful, please be sure to give us a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. And lastly, don't forget to stop by our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all username TST Industries. For now, this has been Mark in the TST Garage, and we will catch you next time. Ride safe.